Basic Education Minister Sivuye Gwagube says the education system is being strategically reorientated to prioritize early childhood development. Her remarks come as the ministry, in partnership with a research organization Data Drive 2030, launches the Thrive by 5 Index 2024 in Sandton in Johannesburg. The nationwide study assessed over 5,000 4-year-olds enrolled in 1,388 early learning programs, offering critical insights into the developmental readiness of South Africa's youngest learners. Now, the launch coincides with International Literacy Day, underscoring the global focus on foundational learning and the importance of early education.
I think it's really important that as government leaders, we don't shy away from evidence, data-led and evidence-based decision-making. As concerning as it is, what it does now is that it holds a mirror to us to say that only 42% of children who were tested, who were in the sample, by the age of 4 will be able to meet their cognitive developmental milestones by the age of 5. It then says to us that the importance of grade R becomes a lot more pronounced, because if children aren't thriving in all of these sort of milestones by 5, it means then by the age 6, when they get to compulsory grade 1, they are likely going to be falling behind. So it therefore says, what are we going to do to make sure that we're strengthening grade R? And there are a number of things that we're already doing there, including upgrading practitioners who were otherwise didn't possess a B.Ed, but to make sure that that's done. But what this also does is that it affirms the strategy we've been talking about that says we are reorientating the system strategically to focus on the foundations of learning. That we are saying that the matric result is not the only marker of a good education system or the benchmark of a good education system. We have to ask ourselves the question, between 3-year to 5-year-olds, are they meeting the right cognitive development milestones? Because those foundations are what set children up to be able to read and read for meaning. We can't obsess about whether or not children are taking maths and science and if they're performing well if we don't get these foundations right. So for one, it's affirming. Number two, as tough as it is to see these figures, it's affirming that the strategy we've undertaken is the right one. But at the same time, it's also saying to our partners, this is the direction that we need to move.
As today marks International Literacy Day, South Africa is facing an educational emergency, with about 81% of grade 4 learners unable to read for meaning. UNESCO research shows that children who learn to read in a familiar language are 30% more likely to succeed, yet millions still lack access to books in their home language. We'll look at various challenges, including psychological causes to this crisis. And for this discussion, we're now joined by educational psychologist Sesotho Mapola. Sesotho, very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. Help us understand then, just what it means when we say developmentally, when a child cannot read for meaning by grade 4, as we saw in those numbers.
Sure. Again, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. It is one that I'm deeply passionate about. The literacy crisis really is an educational crisis and a literacy emergency. So when children are not able to read for meaning by the time they get to grade 4, it means that, like the minister said, the foundational skills were not there from the very beginning. So the ability to listen attentively, to speak confidently, to play with sounds, and to develop vocab, the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And what do we see? By the time the children get to grade 12, after having repeated a few grades, we are expecting them to sit in a class and write a national exam that is meant for children that are 18 years old. And we're sitting with children that are currently 23, 21 years old with a reading ability of 15, sometimes 10 years old. And we're expecting them to sit in that class and in that venue and write the national exam. Sure. That is meant for 18-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And so that is really just setting them up for failure, and they risk losing out on so much. And it is so, so crucial that we address this early, because if we don't, we are really just ensuring that our children are going to have such limited opportunities when it comes to the workspace. Yeah. And I like to put the 81% into perspective. That is 8 in 10 children. Mm-hmm. So when you're sitting and you see a group of children and there's 10 of them, 8 of them struggle to read for meaning.
Yeah.
And that, for me, is absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I mean, when we also heard earlier, there's now this renewed global focus on, foundational learning and the importance of early education. We heard, as you also just indicated, from the Basic Education Minister, Siphiwe Gwagube, saying that education system is being strategically pushed to prioritize early childhood development. I mean, how important is this given the educational crisis or emergency, as you also put it?
Beautiful. I think it's really important to mention that from age 0 up until 5-ish, that's when a child's brain is the most plastic. So you can really mold it to what you want it to be. And this is where ECD centers come into play. This is where we're going to lay the foundation for all future learning. When children are able to express themselves and they can think deeply and connect to the world around them. And that is a beauty that books play. You're not just reading a book and you're seeing words, but you're really connecting with the words. You're seeing yourself in the book. You're reading about your own language, about your culture, about things that are happening around you. And so being able to strengthen the resources that are available at ECD level is so, so important. And I think it really is the stepping stone to see where we want the world to go.
So let's talk then about the role of mother tongue learning. I mean, why is reading in one's mother tongue so powerful in the early years of a child's development? And can the 5 minutes of daily home language reading, as we're hearing, really make a measurable difference, do you think?
So I really think that it's important for us to make literacy more accessible, especially when it comes to mother tongue reading. I don't know about you, but a lot of the books, the shops that I go into or the libraries, they have a lot of English and Afrikaans books. We don't have a lot of mother tongue or African mother tongue books when you go into spaces like that. And so it's so important that when our children are able to read in their mother tongue, it advances their literacy skills. It builds cultural identity and confidence. Again, so crucial, because when I read a book about a little Black girl who's able to solve puzzles and fix things and become a problem solver, I get to see myself as a problem solver. I get to see myself as a superhero, all the amazing things that we see. So again, not just reading just words, but we're reading cultural identity, and more than anything, being able to build that confidence. When children then move from grade 3 to grade 4, when there's a lot more English use in terms of the language of teaching and learning, because there is a foundation, it helps them grasp concepts easier. It helps them grasp and really just do well academically. So the understanding that we just need to do, all learning and communication in the home in English is actually a myth. We need to be able to demystify the fact that mother tongue learning and communication is so crucial. And with regards to the 5-minute solution, it sounds so simple, right? You're trying to think, oh my word, is there a catch? And what I would like to think of it is, if you have 0 minutes versus 5 minutes, it is better to read to your child in those 5 minutes than nothing at all. Our children are really just looking for our presence and not our perfection. And so if you only have 5 minutes, you can spend that 5 minutes reading with your child. And more than that, I also know that some of our parents don't really feel very confident when it comes to reading. Again, they're not looking for perfection. They just want to spend time with you. You can get a sibling or another caregiver involved in the reading, and really just asking questions about, what is that picture talking about? What do you think is going to happen next?
Yeah.
And this really also starts with having access to these books, which is really, really important.
I thought